Well, a few months ago, I bought a 1969 Honda CT90. I haven't really been fixing it. It's been more like making a new bike. I wanted to make a video specifically because I've used a lot of cheap, no-name brand, Chinese products that are pretty sketchy, and there's not a lot of reviews and all this stuff on there. So I'm going to give you guys the specific links for the ones that I used. It looks like from reviews and pretty much everything you buy online, and especially from China, it's mixed results. Okay, so no guarantees with this stuff. Is a lifan clone, 125cc. I have a Mikuni, also known as Chikuni, clone carburetor. I'm not sure how I feel about those yet. They are not complete duplicates, so it's not really even a Mikuni clone. They just have the name on there. They're using different jets. I'm not sure about that yet, but it's functioning. The harness is the $18 one that has good reviews. A very basic one, which I'm also going to try to hook up some lights to. The muffler is horrible. If you guys are wondering, you don't need to do any welding. Okay, let's go around the bike and look at specific things that we did. Now, this engine, all of these engines, these little 125cc pit bikes that all are different crazy brand names, none of them fit into a CT90 frame, not immediately. In the questions and answers, they might say that they would fit into one. In some of the suggestions, it's not necessarily true. All right, so you have to get these braces, and I'll show you a clip of them when they're not on the bike. But you have to get these braces right here that are going down to under that foot peg. Okay, here's a shot of the braces when they're not yet installed. It's very hard for these braces to go into the points they're supposed to. It's going to take some work. Don't give up. They will stretch. They will corner around there and get on there. And see, this one here is the top bolt. I tried to get the proper size bolt, but you want to use the original Honda bolt, and you want to drill through this thing. I thought it sounded like a horrible idea to drill through that much metal, and that hopefully it would be okay. But the metal it's made out of 1,000 time recycled cat food cans, and it's remarkable the engine runs at all without just melting. Speaking of melting, because you don't have that mounted into a natural bolt place, and because this engine was not designed for this bike, you're going to have vibration and balance offsets. These little braces they're just not going to be holding the same amount as a large structural point such as this. So tighten everything as much as you can. One thing is to put 3 different washers in. We're gonna 3 washers are supposed to be on this side, right? In Australia, these trails, or sometimes called the Cub, the Honda Cub, or Super Cub, these bikes were used as mailman bikes. That was their vehicle. Is this? So it's called a postie bike, like as in postman. This is like the $60, $50-something muffler. I think it's horrible. You kind of brace it to the bottom of that strut. I got this at a garage sale. It's alright. Problem is it has no reason to keep it off of the plastic shock back there. These mufflers, and I hear this happens with other mufflers, and maybe it's the way the engine is. There's a little bit too much space, right? And so you can try it with washers. What I did was I got a thin little nut that would go on there. The threading runs out, as you can see. There's nothing there, but there's threading enough to like hold that one wall. I put a little bit of oil in with the gas. I know it's a 4-stroke. I heard of some old timers doing this, and sometimes doing it all through the running life. This is an engine that is absolutely advised to have a break-in period, to not use the oil that comes with the bike, to dump it out as soon as possible, put in some real oil. Okay, another thing that a lot of people miss, and I have footage of it, of another part. Inside here, when you get the bike, there's a little red cap. It looks like it's covering it, like a pipe or something, right? You got to take that off. It's for releasing overheated and too much pressure oil. You got to look out for where the clutch is located. This is a manual clutch. I felt like it was one less thing to go wrong. I didn't realize I bought the wrong kind from Dr. ATV, because some of the clutches are like in the back and some of them are right here, and you need a lot less clutch. This was a random one I got, and I'll list that. So next to where the braces sit, where they mount onto the engine, is the foot pegs and these 4 bolt holes on the bottom of the engine. Now you can put the original foot pegs back on there if you get the adapter plate from Dr. ATV. It fits along with the braces. A lot of these foot peg bars are bent, and if they're bent even a little bit, that adapter plate will not seat on there correctly. Mine was like this. If you've seen Jenny's garage, it takes a lot of effort to bend one of these foot pegs back. So I ended up using a foot peg from a pit bike. It's a cheap one, and it works fine. Now, in any situation, these engines are not the exact size. They're wider than the originals. So you're going to have a hard time with putting on the original shifter pedal. It's not going to work with a knockoff pit bike foot pegs. And also, no matter what, you're going to have issues with the brake arm, the foot brake arm, rubbing on your foot pegs. You can bend this. I don't want to mess with mine. I don't want to fatigue it from heat. So I'm going to leave it for now. Some guys don't like the rattling, and I've seen some guys hack and weld at this, and I'm not interested in doing that. If anything, I might get some thick rubber to put in between the brake arm and the foot peg. Okay, one thing that we're not going to be able to look at, I'll show you a little picture of it. Underneath here, okay, it's going to be, originally, it's going to be this gear on there, which is like a 13 tooth. This is like, you can't use this like at all. When I started this bike and like rode it around the block the first time, I was like, oh my god, what did I do? This was a waste of money and time. So, and it turned out the gearing's just messed up. I went to a 17 tooth. You could go to something a little bit less, but I think the 17 tooth makes it like a very usable bike, and it's still got plenty of power. Now that is in combination with the CT90. This is going to, I think this is the 45 tooth. You can get that on Dr. ATV. These bikes do not have a regular gear pattern. You can't get, unless you have it custom made, you're not getting any other, like a whole lot smaller. Except if you get one of the older bikes, it has like the 75 tooth and it has a 40 tooth. It's a double gear thing, and that would bring you down to 40. But you really don't need to do that. To get some high gearing, just go to that 17 tooth in the front. Every tooth in the front is about 3 in the back. So another thing that I heard about and I think is worth mentioning is that you want to adjust your clutch. A lot of these aren't going to be adjusted properly, and if you have that 13 tooth on there, you might be doing a wheelie that injures you and the bike. So open this up. You're probably going to need to have a impact screwdriver, because don't mess with any of these screws and all this other stuff. Like, don't, like, just assume the metal is, like, you know, basically made out of butter. Alright, I was scared about doing the electrics, and there's not a ton of information. There's like, everybody makes it kind of complicated and whatever. With this engine, you can have 2 bunches of wires that come out of the engine. This is the front one, And the back one, I think I have it hidden somewhere. Don't really, it looks like a CDI, which is this thing right here. It looks like it would connect, and it actually does connect to a CDI box. It'll look just like that. That's for, it has a neutral, first, second, third lights. If you wanted to have that on your dash or something, it's kind of complicated. This is all the main stuff you want to worry about right here. Alright, and these are all color coded. So this is the $18 harness, and it comes with a CDI, although I think the motor does as well. And then you have your ignition coil. You have a, I guess an ignition key switch, and then you have a kill switch. This key switch does work as a kill switch though. Now when you get this, you kind of go through, and a lot of it's plug and play, right? The CDI hooks directly in there. It won't fit into the any other places. You know, this kill switch fits into the kill switch spot. It's pretty simple. They only go into one place. So your main things, which is these, which are the scariest because you have a bunch of wires going, they're going to be hooking into your ignition coil. Now that's going to go into one of the green ones. I believe it doesn't matter. But if that's the one that you have to try on 2 different places to get some spark, then so be it. It's your only pretty much guess. I believe grounds don't really matter as much. So then you have these 3 wires, alright? This is what's coming out of the motor. And what's on there is you have a green, yellow, blue and white, a white, and a black and red. So just go with the colors, alright? We have a black and red. Let's put that in there. We have a blue, let's put that on the blue. And we have a green and a green, let's put those together. That right there, with all of the rest of your little apparatuses hooked up, pretty much just the CDI and your ignition coil. And the ignition coil, again, that's also, there's a black and yellow, and then there's a green. So that green's the only sketchy part, and I believe it'll work on either one. You're going to get spark and run the bike at that point. You're going to have 2 extra wires on here, yellow and white. These are for basically lights. These are powers to lights. And if you're going to run that, you're going to need something to convert AC, DC type of thing. I did get that to work. I'm going to do a separate video on it. But basically you're going to be doing the white to pink and the yellow to yellow. And then these will go to the either your switch or straight to the light. And that'll power some lights, although it won't be a very consistent power source. So, but again, just kind of go for the colors and match all the shapes up. Don't worry about the rear bunch of cables right now. I think this one says that it's perfect for skateboards, right? Probably not going to work on a skateboard, the 125cc, right?